So this battle can be really tough, and I did actually hit scaling. I drove scaling up a couple hundred. Um, so my army's a tiny bit undersized, but it's not bad. About 1,100, 1,200, not terrible, but I just couldn't put any more people into the army. I still have $330,000, but I didn't have anything really else to buy. It's a good-looking army. I'm happy with it. It turns out I lose 3,600 and kill 15,000. So I'm outnumbered in this battle, and you know how it is in this battle. You only can bring 6 units in the beginning, and if the AI calculates that your units are weak, then it's super aggressive. It's hyper aggressive, and you can easily get overrun. So I had this plan that I was going to fall back to the river line and the river line right by the victory location and try to catch them in the water. That never happened. This battle went shockingly well. When my reinforcements come in, I had pretty much butchered the Allied army. There is some melee. The enemy is aggressive, but everyone did extraordinarily well, including the Allied units, which usually just get their heads kicked in. Now, it is interesting that I had the Allied units take the vast majority of the casualties. The Allied units took, I think, about 3,000 casualties. So my units took about 1,200, and the enemy lost 15,000. So that's really, and also you'll see my units do most of the killing. So yeah, this went shockingly well. The other thing, because I'm at the bottom of scaling, the enemy army scales to me. His units are not 2,900. This battle is really a nightmare if the enemy comes in and all his units are oversized and 2,900. Didn't happen that way. His units come in. Yeah, he outnumbers me substantially in the beginning, but he just takes a horrible beating. I think I lose about 1,500 men by the time my reinforcements come in. I think I lose about 1,500. Pretty much raw numbers, and that counts the Allied troops. Maybe I lost 2,000, but it's not very much. And the enemy, I think, loses 7 to 10,000. I mean, it's just a slaughter. So the enemy has, if I remember correctly, let's see, 16, 17, 18, 19, about 20,000. And what did I have? Maybe, I'm going to check the screen when my troops come in anyway. So I'm significantly outnumbered, but it's not 2 to 1. But in the beginning, you can see how much bigger the red bar is than the blue bar. This is his only chance, and this goes really badly for him. One of the things that's really interesting is how well the Allied units do. I've never had the Allied units do this well. They do remarkably well, all of them. A lot of people will say that the defensive positions on the right side of the Union line, you shouldn't hold those. I completely disagree. I always get really good kills holding those positions, and my units do really well. As soon as my core units I've had enough where they've taken too many casualties because I don't want to replace a bunch of losses. It doesn't matter if I get 10 to 1. If I have to replace 10,000 losses, it's a very expensive day. I get to the point where my core units take enough losses, and then I replace them with the much worse Allied units, and the Allied units just do a tremendous job. Then my core units sit behind the Allied units on the right side, and when there is a charge and there's melee, they're right there to fire into the enemy, and it's over very fast. The enemy does try to charge and does get into melee in the wooded area, because you can't hold on the left side, you can't hold those. I mean, you just can't. I'm surprised how long the Allied troops were able to hold. But you can't hold those because they're easily flanked. And then he does charge into the woods, and he just gets crushed right away. So, yeah, everything goes incredibly well. Now, I'm still thinking at this point, fight each defensive line. Like he has 20-pound parrots, so I moved them out before the forward position collapsed. And he's going to fire there for a while. And then my thought is, how to cross the river and what's the best position for him to be in when I retreat. I'm already planning my next retreat, in stages. And it just doesn't happen. So he's got too many guys in the water and he's kind of taking a beating. So I'm going to have the Harper's Ferry support this action, but still with the idea of falling back right away, that there's no way I'm going to be able to hold this. And they hold amazingly well. It's just, can't believe it. Can't believe how well they hold. It's never my intent to hold any of these positions, and certainly I didn't think I'd be able to hold the positions on the left as long as those two units did. So I have my supply wagon on the left side because everybody on the right side is supplied from the supply dump. Usually the guy anyone you have on the left side is not supplied, but apparently there's some kind of a radius, and I think the unit on the other side of the river on the left side is actually in the radius, because he does not run out of ammo. But anyone to the left of that will start to drain ammo. So I run the Iron Brigade up to take shots on guys in the river, and it's not great. It doesn't work. I'm going to run forward and take a couple more shots. Some of them work better than others. I now think, what I'm thinking right now is, okay, those guys are going to rout any minute now out of the fortification, so I might as well get back into the woods. I was just going to back him up in case he got into melee, but he's going to rout any second. And so I'm waiting for his position to rout, and I have everybody in position, have the artillery in place, ready for those two units to rout, and they don't rout. They hold. Pretty remarkable. I'm shifting fire, trying to hit anybody who's vulnerable. If there's someone in the water, they'll do a whole lot more damage than if someone's in the woods, so looking for opportunities to inflict casualties. If he were to have one of the units, like that unit right there, if a unit just to the right would fire into the flank of that unit, he'd rout right away, but he's not doing it. He's firing into the guy in front of him. Everybody's firing into the people in front of him instead of into the flank. So, yeah, I'm expecting him to charge any minute now, all across the line, and it doesn't happen. He doesn't charge. And what happens is the AI makes a calculation. What's the probability of success? And if his units have a whole lot more experience and a huge advantage in numbers, he's going to charge. But the other thing is, notice I keep shifting the artillery. His units take I learned this playing the beta when the AI was hyper aggressive. If you keep shifting the artillery to different units, it'll drop every unit's morale just enough so they won't charge. So make sure you keep shifting the artillery from unit to unit and chipping away at their morale. And the units you hit with a couple of volleys, even if you don't break them, they're not going to charge. So, that comes from playing the beta, where every unit, where the AI was much more aggressive than he is now. So I'm shifting fire, trying to do the most harm I can. So he's in the water here, and I'm going to take some shots on him while he's in the water. Just some of the unit being in the water will drop his cover, and it's just an opportunity to affect his morale, knock his efficiency down, take him out of the battle. So remove him as a melee threat. I cannot believe those guys are still holding the front line. I cannot believe they haven't. Even on normal difficulty, I've never had them last this long. So those guys always rout. So moving the Iron Brigade forward again. There's a guy in the water. Want to come up and take a few shots. This one goes a lot better this time. Yep, the Iron Brigade takes the shots, inflicts the damage. Okay, finally a unit broke. So I'm taking a look at it. Instead of just falling back, I'm going to fight on this wood line for a while. Yeah, I'm not going to move one of my good units into the forward fortifications. But the guy I had positioned on the left side, I'm going to have him move over. I'm going to have the guy hold in front just long enough for my guy to move over, and then have the 2 allied units take up a position on the left side of the line across the river. They should be able to hold it. My original thought putting that guy over there is when the enemy charges into the water on the far left, and he always does, he'd be able to get some great shots on enemy units with 0 cover. So, okay, and what happened there was I actually told that guy to fall back. So when my unit got into place, I had allied unit who is, we're going to call him Hercules. Man, it's just amazing. He stood there and fought and fought and fought, and I had to tell him to fall back. So, yeah. Now get back into the fortification. These fortifications, I hate fortifications. These fortifications on the right side are about the only fortifications I like. I've had units in there get 1,000 kills and lose almost nothing, but turns out these guys have really good weapons. I know I capture Richmond's. I don't know if I capture Fayetteville's. I don't remember. I'll have to see the end results, but I know I get Richmond's. And I get a ton of 1861s. I don't know where they came from. And they weren't taken from the enemy. It says I recovered them, but I didn't lose. You only get 10% of the weapons back. So I don't know where they came from, but I got a ton of 1861s. So that's nice. You'll notice I brought the 24-pound howitzer, the 3-star unit, and the whole point was right here, that he's going to step up into that open area with no cover, and my 24-pound howitzer is going to really do some damage. I was really torn between bringing the howitzer and bringing a Parrot. The Parrot's better for the second half of the battle. The howitzer is better for the first half. And my thought was that howitzer is going to end up back behind the American flag, firing volleys into units in that canal or waterway. And it might be the last stand of the army, the difference between victory and defeat, and I would want a 24-pound howitzer, not a Parrot, because the howitzer is much better at that sort of thing. So howitzers are better on defense at short range, and Parrots are better on offense. And I was concerned about the battle up until the point where the reinforcements come in. So he's charging into the my far right flank, and I don't expect the allied unit, the 1-star unit, to be able to hold, but right behind it is a very strong 2-star unit who is perfectly capable of defeating that guy on his own. So he's certainly going to do a lot of damage when he fires into him. So notice how everything in the open area where the howitzer and the allied Parrot gun have been blasting away, and the Iron Brigade and a couple of 18 units with 1861s and Harper's Ferries have been firing. Everything just ran away. Everything just broke and routed. That's why the 24-pound howitzer is there. So even though the guy's charging, I want to take out this cav unit, so everybody needs to shift and take a fire on that cav. Yep, that's pretty. So notice how the battlefield's looking a little empty all at once. Now he still has over 100 cannon, and some of those are 24-pound howitzers. That's a nasty force he has, and nothing to be laughed at. He can still do a lot of damage to my army. So that's what the Allied troops are for. So there he is in the river. That's exactly where I want him to be. I'm checking to see what my cover is on this unit. It's not very good, so I want to fall back and get in better cover. And yeah, it looks like he wants to charge. I'm thinking about having my unit fall back. And but he doesn't have anything really in support. My unit's in the woods. His unit on the right side got hammered, so that's great. Yeah, he's toast on the right side. He's just been beaten up. And in the center, he's been beaten up. He has 2 units that are charging, and I don't fancy their chances at all. So right behind the attack is an infantry unit that's probably got 100 condition. On the right side, he looks really vulnerable, and that attack was inevitable. And I'm thinking about, now I'm going to fire the first volley into the attacking unit on the right side, and then everybody's going to shift and hit the guy on the left side. So, yeah, let's see how this goes. Yeah, he starts flashing white instantly. The unit behind fires a volley into it. My unit's not in melee for like a second, and he routs. So yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. Now I can turn the infantry unit that was in support around and keep my commander out of it. And yeah, this is going to go well. This is just going to go well. This is not how I expected this fight to go. So yeah, what I'm doing is I'm watching his condition, and I'm also watching his cover. I don't want him to retreat out of cover. Need to make this guy turn so that he can get a shot. The 1861s turned. I didn't want them to turn. I need them to turn back. And here's somebody charging into the Iron Brigade. The Iron Brigade is in good cover. So that's probably not going to go real well. And my officer is giving +10 cover to the Iron Brigade. So yeah, this is all going wonderfully well. And everybody has full ammo. We never do deplete all the ammo in the supply dump. So yeah, this is all just going great. I think we're done with any big rush of enemy units into the wood line. I just don't see it happening, not with artillery and infantry firing out. Yeah, I don't see it happening. So I'm moving the 2 allied units to the right side. Want to kill the general, Longstreet. Looks like Longstreet. Want to kill Longstreet so that his units can't recover morale. So, I mean, they can recover morale, but it's very slow. So that basically will put an end to the offensive phase for the enemy army entirely. And I'm just kind of waiting for the reinforcements to come in, and that'll be in 10 minutes. So yeah, this went much better. I'm just looking at this, and I can't believe how well this went. He still outnumbers me by quite a bit. You can see the red bar at the top, but his army has been really hurt badly. Come on, take out the general. Take the shot. Yes, Longstreet's done. His ability to recover has now been seriously degraded. And I don't mind the Allied units taking losses, both here in this phase. I'll look at those that canister. Here in this phase and also during the attack. So I use them as bullet sponges, and they do take a lot of, the Allied units do take a lot of casualties. I think they take 3,000 total, which is quite a lot. They take the majority of the casualties here. So I notice my Harper's Ferry unit is getting hit with artillery. They're either being targeted with artillery, which can happen, or pass through artillery. And either way, I don't want them, it's expensive. So that's the end of the AI attack. It's over. It's done. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I could hold this, I could hold this position with the troops I have till the end of the battle, probably. Happy to have the reinforcements come in. Now we have 3 hours. I think the battle ends. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does, because it's 2000 hours. So there are 3 hours, and that's it, which is a very long time. So I just want to make sure that all my units are doing the right thing, and I don't do anything stupid right at the last minute to take a whole bunch of casualties. And yeah, everything looks really good. Yeah, I noticed that there's a lot of supply in that central supply point. So if I can drive this guy back, who has crossed on the far left, into the water, then there'll be 3 units in the water, and we can score a whole bunch of kills. And anything in the middle is just going to be torn up by 2 artillery pieces and 3 very good units. Let's see, I think I brought 2 1-star units because they were very close to getting their 3rd star. They were like 96 and 98 to getting their 2nd star. And they do. My 2 1-star units become 2-star units. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start bringing at least 1 1-star unit to every side battle to try to get them promoted to 2 stars for every battle from now on. And I got 2 of them. I brought 2 of them because they were both very close. And they both did get their 2nd star. And I think 2 of my 2-star units got their 3rd star. So this was a huge battle for my army. I must have 6 3-star units now at the end of this, and I don't know how many 2-star. And I'm not done. I've noticed that I have several 1-star units that are very close to their 2nd star. So I need to start making some more no-star units and getting them their 1st star, and then keep working on 1-star units and get them their 2nd star. I'd like to have 1st and 2nd Corps. I'd like to have 1st Corps all 3 stars and 2nd Corps all 2 stars. So that would be really good. And also the quality of the weapons really helps. Having these units that are half size, I have more units with great weapons getting great kills. So it's made a huge difference. And look at this. These numbers are amazing. 17,000 infantry down to 9,000. So the enemy just got hammered. And then his cav, I think, is wiped out at this point, and he must have had about 1,000 cav. So I'm looking at all these units that I have to place. I mean, there's a lot of units, and his infantry has been really torn up. There's just not that much left. And yeah, I just thought, well, I'll just highlight all the units and I'll move forward. But they take up half the map, so I can't do that. I have to move them one at a time. So yeah, it's... Now I just want to get everybody to the far right of the map and then sweep up to the top of the map, or far right as you're looking at the map, far right lower corner, and then sweep across the entire length of the map. And there's plenty of time to do it. 2 hours and 53 minutes is plenty of time. I have troops coming up. I'm going to rest my good units, not because they need rest, because none of them are tired. They're all like 95 condition. But I don't want them to take any more losses. They're really expensive, and they've taken enough losses, and I don't want to have to replace... Well, actually, I think after the battle, I took a look at it, and I could move the Iron Brigade from where it is now to 1350 with all raw recruits and still have greater efficiency than my command bar can handle. I think he's... Even if I put all raw recruits in there, he'd still be over 100 efficiency. So you can only see up to 100, but he's way over 100 now. And having a unit at way over 100 efficiency is pretty neat. I've never done that before. And the only way you can do it is if you keep the Iron Brigade small like this. 1200, 1300. The battle's just going very, very well. Now the blue line is much bigger than the red line. But I'm very cautious about his artillery. I've done this before. His artillery is very good and very deadly. So if I just rush forward, I'm just going to take huge casualties. I still have to fight this. And the big thing is that with units being this good, replacing losses is expensive. So I think I get $70,000 for this battle. I think that's what I get. I think I come out of it with 390,000, I think. So, and I still haven't sold any weapons. And I have a good $100,000 in old weapons that I can sell, which I don't need to because I have $300,000. I guess there's about $100,000 in weapons I want to buy. And it just depends on how big I can build my army, but I'm guessing that I can't build my army I can't put many troops into my army. I think once I fill out 3rd Corps, which I am going to do for Chancellorsville, I'll probably hit the scaling point. I doubt seriously the game will let me beef up my core army for Chancellorsville. Because, well, if I'm at scaling here with, well, I have pretty much an entire core of ballast, the odds are I'm going to hit the scaling point for Chancellorsville very early. So I wouldn't be surprised if basically the army I have is pretty much the army that I can bring to Chancellorsville. So for Chancellorsville, 1st Corps doesn't ever do that much in my games of Chancellorsville. It's a great opportunity for 2nd and 3rd Corps to get a ton of experience. So 1st Corps does some fighting early, and there's that battle where you pretty much wipe out the Confederate army. I always put 1st Corps on the left, and there's a small force that it wipes out against the corner of the map. But all the big fighting is done with 2nd and 3rd Corps. I go ahead and swap out The guy who's been on the, defending the wall this time with a brand new fresh unit. I think about getting the 1861s off the front line. But, man, where did the enemy go? So these guys are moving really slow. So what I'm thinking is the guys who are moving along the far left of the map, along the canal or whatever it is, there must be a debuff to movement speed because they're just moving really slow. So I have to make them travel a different path. But they're going to get over there. It's just going to take a while to get people in position, and then the attack will begin. So what I have is 5 infantry and 2 snipers, and that's more than enough. That guy needs to rejoin his parent unit. I'm trying to get visibility of the guys across the river, and for some reason they're very hard to see. But if I can see them, then my parrot can take shots at them, and that would be good. I was just checking the Allied unit commander was just wounded or killed. So not one of my core officers. Okay, here we go. We're going to lead with detached skirmishers, and that's going to be great. And yeah, we're going to sweep all the way around his army. And then the units that are holding the line can get in, and you've probably noticed that my attacks tend to be echelon attacks, which means that first the right will advance, and then the units to the left of that will attack, and then when these guys get in and hit the enemy in the flank, then the guys next to that will attack. And what I noticed is, what I know from doing this battle, is the units on the far left do not get supply. So that's where my artillery is. I'm going to go over there and supply that artillery unit, but the guys on the right will just be fine. This battle's going to be over before they run out of ammo. So, yeah, that's the right play. And I'm bringing the commander over, because these guys are going to have to attack across the open. Although, really, it's... I thought the guys on the right would be hit more by artillery as they advanced in the open, but the guys on the left got hit too, so I needed him on both the right and the left. Everybody gets hit. So here it goes. There's infantry right on the waterline, and there's artillery. There are always 3 batteries right here on the enemy left, and we need to hit those guys. So it's a bad idea to attack the infantry and let those howitzers hit you at range. And what I want to do is I want to hit the artillery first, or at the same time that I hit the infantry, and all of them will collapse at the same time. And I'm advancing with detached skirmishers because they take a lot fewer casualties than infantry units, and also it doesn't affect the morale of the parent infantry unit if the detached skirmishers get hit with canister to the face. So already I have to get all these units moving to the right because they're blocking each other. So the attack has been underway for 2 entire minutes, and already the enemy's collapsed. And I have to spread out so that I keep wrapping around the enemy flank so they can't pick a position and defend. Keep flanking them. So from this point on, I'm going to just put this on forward fast, and we'll pick this up again in the after action report when we take a look at the battle results. So yeah, the enemy lost a lot of casualties. And here are my units. You can take a look at, the Allied units have names, my units just have the weapons. And yeah, 600 and something, 850, 950, 450. Yeah, and you take a look at my losses, and they just don't add up to very much. So yeah, my total losses just are not that bad. I did lose a gun, my 24-pound howitzer. I'm not concerned about losing guns. I'm not concerned about losing men in my artillery units. I want them to get out there and fight. I want them to be right on the front line, dealing canister fire. So the Iron Brigade lost 200, less 20%, 160. Not bad. The biggest thing for the Iron Brigade isn't that it got, 4-1 or something. The biggest thing with the Iron Brigade is that if anything had gone badly, they would have been right there to step in and deal that Iron Brigade decisiveness to the battle. So that's an Allied officer. I didn't bring any colonels. And yeah, 1,100 1861s, 1,100 of them. Yeah, he had 24-pound howitzers. I got one, so okay. He gave me more Tyler Texases. I have over 1,000 CS Richmonds now. I'm going to issue those out. I don't get a lot of money for selling those, so I'm going to use them. And someone's going to say, well, you have a really unreliable supply of those because you have to capture them. And my thought is I have a really unreliable supply of all of my weapons because I depend on the game to give me an inventory, and it's never enough. So yeah, 2 3-star units and 2 2-star units out of this battle. Absolutely terrific. Almost $390,000, 77 reputation. It's a good day. It was a great battle. Thanks for watching.